Welcome to the mean streets of Gadgetan! And another BACHATA ROCKSTAR Hearthstone video. This is going to be the last video of 2016, and so I really want to take this opportunity to thank anybody who's watched my videos, who's watched my Twitch stream, who's enjoyed the content that I've put out there. If you're seeing me for the first time, please go ahead, please like, please subscribe down below, please add me on Facebook, all the good stuff. All the stuff is in the description below you. And this, of course, is the top 16 most impactful cards of 2016. So, I really wanted to make a video that talked about cards that either are having or have had an impact or will have an impact on Hearthstone metas and over the course that were released in the course of 2016. So that would include Whispers of the Old Gods, One Night in Causaz, and of course, Mean Streets Gadgetan. So what I did is I took 5 cards from each, and I took one wild card, and I put them in order, and I ranked them, and here they are. Now again, this is all just my opinion. It might be true, it might not be true, but I believe that these are the cards that I have either had a significant impact on the meta, or will have a significant impact on the meta. And let's start right over here. Number 16, Dirty Rat. I believe that this mechanic is very unique, and it's the first time we've seen something like this, where it literally just pulls the minion from your hand. The only thing similar has been Ancestor's Call. We haven't seen that with a minion, especially with a minion like this. This minion is so overstated for its mana cost relative to other 2-drop creatures. It's a taunt. It's got a lot of health on it, so it can defend you even if you pull out something incredibly strong. And the other thing it does, it enables really cool combos with Mind Control Tech, or even better, Brand Bronzebeard Mind Control Tech Dirty Rat. What a combo! Steal 2 of your opponent's creatures. It can pull their Reno out of their deck. It can pull their Causaz out of their deck. It can pull their Abyssal Enforcer out of their deck. It can pull just any very impactful creatures out of their deck at a time when they're not ready for it. And then you can then impact the board with them. So in a weird way, you're giving your opponent's creatures charge, but at the same time, it's giving you an opportunity to get rid of them on your terms, as opposed to on your opponent's terms. So that's why I really like this card, and that's why I think this card has been super impactful at number 16. Moving on, number 15 is going to be Arcane Giant. Arcane Giant had a huge impact on the meta when it was released in One Night in Causaz, and it created so many decks. It enabled a lot of spell-based decks, Arcane Mage, and especially the Malagos Druid, which was a tier 1 deck for a long time. Arcane Giant was a huge part of that, just casting a bunch of spells and then dropping 2 0-mana 8/8s. Great card. Huge card, had a huge impact on the meta, and that's why it's coming in at number 15. Coming in at number 14 is Ravaging Ghoul. Ravaging Ghoul. Love this card. This card was included in every single warrior deck at a time when there was 6 different warrior decks that were legitimately tier 1, tier 2 in the meta at that time when it came out in Whispers of the Old Gods. And it was one of those cards that people were kind of sleeping on and didn't think it was going to be that good. And then sure enough, it comes out, and it demonstrates the power of redundancy, of having just another card that does a very similar thing to another card. And then by having both of those cards in your deck, it gives you 4 opportunities to utilize this effect as opposed to 2, which makes it really strong. And can make effects that aren't necessarily that good if you can only use them twice. Really good because you can use them 4 times. And that's why I think Ravaging Ghoul was so good, because it really helped foster a lot of different decks and was so versatile and fit into so many different deck archetypes. And it was a really impactful card. Up next is Firelands Portal. Now, Firelands Portal didn't have a very big impact on Constructed, but the reason that Firelands Portal is on this list is because it affected the arena so heavily. It's a common card. It's deal 5 damage, summon a random 5-cost minion, and it is just killer in arena. The tempo swings that you would get with this card were insane. It was so insane that it actually got itself like, this card in and of itself prompted widespread changes in the arena. It made Blizzard have to take out like 20 different cards, and that's why I think it is so impactful, because it very, very... I think this card changed Arena more than any other card. Coming up next, we got Cabal Talon Priest. Now, some people would say, well, why is this card so impactful? I don't really understand. Well, here's the thing. This card is super duper OP, and it fits into every single priest deck there is. It's a 3-drop, it's a 3/4 stat line, give a friendly minion plus 3 health. This is what Priest wants to do, and honestly, this is the card that makes Dragon Priest go. This is the card. Everybody was like, well, Dragon Priest is pretty good, but you needed something on turn 3 to really impact the board, but not only impact the board because of its body, you know, because there's already a 3-mana 3/5, i.e. the Blackwing Technician, right? Why is this card so much better than that? Why is this card making Dragon Priest go? Because this buffs the 2-drops. This buffs your Dragon Whelps. This buffs your Wormrest Agents, and makes them really strong and able to continue to affect the board for many, many, many turns after they've been played. And that was really the problem. Even though it was a 2/4 taunt and was very strong, a lot of times it just got killed by, like, you know, 3/3s. You know, 2/4 with taunt doesn't trade very well with anything that is 3 health. And that was the thing that Cabal Talon Priest allowed it to do, was it allowed Wormrest Agents and Dragon Whelps to continue to stay on the board and continue to be threats. And that is what really allowed tempo to snowball. And hence, that's why Cabal Talon Priest is such a good card. But it fits well into every single Priest deck. Moving on, we got Draconid Operative. 5-mana, 5/6 dragon. He's big, he's buff, he's the kind of card that Dragon Priest needed. Absolutely was the card that Dragon Priest needed. And it made Dragon Priest viable and has made it a tier 2 deck. And now it's finally... this is the card that made Priest something competitive. Cabal Talon Priest was so good and was included in a lot of decks, but Draconid OP, as it is affectionately called, is the card that makes Priest viable. Without this card, Dragon Priest would not be viable, and hence Priest would not be viable. I mean, that's really it. And its impact is so clear because Priest was the absolute worst class, and now Priest has legitimate decks to be played because of this card. Moving on, we got Barnes, 4-mana, 3/4. Summon a random 1/1 copy of random minion deck. I mean, this card was so big because it could easily fit into so many decks, especially Death Rattle decks. And because of that, it had a huge, huge impact on the meta. And I mean, there was just so many times where you just wanted a 1/1 thing. And it has spawned so many decks that are just all spells and then like 1 or 2 minions, like Yasharaj, for instance, or Malagos. And, you know, Barnes and Bran, and boom, there you go. You know, amazing. Amazing card. It's still seen in a lot of decks. And at the time, it was seen in every single deck upon its release. Moving on, of course, we got the Flame Wreath Faceless, the 4-mana 7/7. Do I really need to say why this card was so impactful? Come on, man. It's the biggest, buffest card you can possibly get on 4-mana. It's ridiculous. This is the card that made Midrange Shaman, one of the cards, excuse me, that made a Midrange Shaman so powerful and so dominant. And it fit into, it's still seeing play in aggro archetypes for Shaman and also in control archetypes for Shaman. Very versatile card, very strong card, very well statted. Incredible. And next up we got Small Time Buccaneer. What a 1-drop 1/2. Why is this so good? Because this, combined with another card that we'll be talking about a little bit later, makes Pirate Warrior so good. And Pirate Warrior, as you know, is the most played deck in the meta currently as we speak, and on the final days of 2016. You know, but the nice part is it's a neutral card, and it's a Flame Imp if you have a weapon. I mean, really, really good, really impactful. And this was a card that was needed to make Pirates early game viable and aggressively viable. And hence it dictates the kind of decks that you need to play if you want to be competitive in the current meta. If you don't have Small Time Buccaneer in your deck, your deck's probably not that good. Babbling Book, 1-mana 1/1. Add a random magic spell to your hand. Why is this card so impactful? the World Championship. Now, is it seen in a lot of mage decks? Yes, but mage is not really seen that much right now, but it's always had its place. Tempo mage has always been a thing. You know, control mage has always been a thing. Reno mage is still a thing. But why is this card so impactful? Just seeing Pavel get frickin' polymorph off of this card, and then Firelands Portal off of this card when he needed it, exactly when he needed it, just goes to show that the power of this card is insane. Everybody underestimated it, and without this card, he's not the world champion. And so, to me, that makes a huge, huge impact on Hearthstone, and especially on Hearthstone culture. Coming up next, Fandral Staghelm. Why is Fandral so good? Why is Fandral so impactful? Because he affects the design of every single choose one card from here on out. You notice when they printed Jade Idol, they were like, oh, it's a choose one, so it's no big deal. So you're forced to have a choice. Not if you have Fandral. Fandral, you get the Jade Idol, and you get the extra idols. What? Ridiculous. And every single choose one card became many, many times as powerful as it was. Like, it's not just twice as powerful. Right? Because we can all agree. A 5-mana 4/6 with Taunt, quite strong. A 5-mana 4/4 with Charge, quite strong. A 5-mana 4/6 with Taunt and Charge, insane. Insane. Raven Idol getting you a minion and a spell. Insane. That's not just twice as strong. That's many times as strong. And so that's what Fandral does. Having Fandral on the board, he has to kill it. And then every single choose one card becomes exponentially more powerful. So Fandral is pretty much an auto-include in every Druid deck. It doesn't really matter what Druid deck you're playing. And then next up we got N'Zoth the Corruptor. My personal favorite of the old gods. Why was it so impactful? Every single Death Rattle minion in the game became that much better. Because you knew you were going to get it back. You know, a lot of times you didn't even care. You know, you were like, okay, well, if I have a Death Rattle minion and he dies, so what? I'll just bring him back with N'Zoth. It's okay. Before, if your Death Rattle minion died, you're like, well, I'm glad I got the Death Rattle, but is that, you know, maybe I don't want it to die right away. You know, you had to be very judicious with the way that you played your Death Rattle minions. When N'Zoth had opened up the idea of, one, including Death Rattle minions that maybe you weren't necessarily thinking about, and two, it also made them stronger together because there was instant synergy now. Now, all Death Rattle minions had synergy that they didn't have before. And that's why I think N'Zoth is so impactful. Coming up next, the big bad man, Yog Sera. Now, obviously, he's been nerfed, and so he's not that impactful now. But a card that was so crazy and had such a crazy effect that they literally had to nerf it in order to keep it out of competitive play. Competitive play! A card that is completely random was in competitive play. And, quite honestly, it affected championships. It absolutely affected championships. They had to nerf this before the World Championship, but it definitely affected preliminary tournaments and championships heading up to the World Championship. And so, and let's face it, Yog Sera created more highlight videos than any other card, and it still has highlight videos to this day. Insane card. Crazy impactful. Next up, Thing from Below. Why is this better than Yog Sera? It's better than Yog Sera because this is the card that made mid-range Shaman so strong. This is the card that makes Shaman strong. Just Shaman is strong because of this card. A free 5/5 with Taunt. Insane. Playing it with totems, making it cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and cheaper for doing things that you would do anyway. That's why this card is so strong. That's why this card is so good. Flame Tongue Totem, 0 mana, Thing from Below. Now you got a 7/5 Taunt. All of a sudden, you're just board is flipped. And that's what's so powerful about it. Arcane Giants are strong, but they take a long time to get them down to 0 mana, and they don't have Taunt, and they don't have Charge, and they don't impact the board immediately. Yes, they're threatening, but they don't impact the board immediately. Not like Thing from Below does. Thing from Below impacts the board instantaneously, and you have to deal with it. And most of the time, you don't have cards that are big enough to deal with it. Thing from Below prompted Dragonfire Potion to be designed, because somebody had to been able to kill it. Fellfire Potion deals 5 damage because it has to kill Thing from Below. That's why it's so big. That's why it's so strong. That's why it's so impactful. And coming up next, we got Causaz. Oh, Causaz has made Reno decks good. In fact, without Causaz, I feel like the current state of Reno Lock wouldn't be that good, right? Causaz allows you to make Reno Warlock, Reno Priest, and Reno Mage viable. And the ability to choose your spells and have multiple choice decision points. That's never happened before. It's 3 discovers in 1. So powerful, so insane, and allows you to perfectly craft the spell needed for the situation that you're in. Insane card, great card, very impactful, and be impactful for the next few years. And number 1, the most impactful card of 2016, Patches the Pirate. Numero uno. Why is he number 1? Because being able to get a 1/1 charge on turn 1 has created such a faster meta and such a tempo lead that literally everybody is trying to make a pirate deck now because of Patches. That's it. Literally every deck is trying to use Patches. All of them. Even decks that don't run weapons are trying to use Patches. I've seen Patches in Warlock. I've seen Patches in Mage. I've seen Patches in Priest, for God's sakes. Just to try to combat the opponent's Patches. It is the number 1 crafted legendary in Mean Streets of Gadgetzan. Number 1. This card is allowing decks to kill you by turn 4 or 5. So good. It has had the most impact of any card throughout 2016. Patches the Pirate, number 1, top 16 most impactful cards 2016. Guys, I really want to thank you for watching this video. Yeah, just huge thank yous. I have really enjoyed being a streamer and being a content creator in 2016. It's been a dream of mine for a while, and it finally happened. And it could not have happened without you, the viewer, without you, the watcher of the stream, without you, the absorber of the content. Really, I mean, I do this for fun because I think it's fun. And, you know, one day, hey, maybe I can turn this into a job. And I would love that. And I would love to be able to just create content and stream video games and do all this for you guys. But I can't do it unless you're there, unless you're supporting me. So please continue the support. Please spread the word. Please share the videos. Do everything, man, because I want to make this dream happen. So thank you, everyone, really. You have a great 2017. I hope you had an awesome 2016. Keep learning. Keep rocking. And the Rockstar is out of here. Out of 2016. Back for 2017 next year.